Hello, authors, book lovers, and storytellers. Welcome to another Reader's Magnet featured author interview. My name is Mark, and I will be your host for this session. Joining me in the session is one of the Reader's Magnet featured authors that is here with us to share her journey as an author and to tell us more about her book titled The Character of Christ Bible Study Series Lessons for the Generation Z. We have the author herself, Mary D. McCorvey. Hi, Mary. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you doing, Mark?
I'm doing great as well, and very excited to have this
Oh
session
my.
with you, Mary. Actually, I'm very
Yes.
excited to know more about this book and to know
hmm
more about your journey as an author. And we have actually prepared a few questions for this session. But before we
Okay.
proceed with that, Mary, I want you to introduce yourself first.
Okay. So I am Mary McCorvey. I am currently residing in Houston, Texas. This is my home. I have been an educator for the past 25 years.
Oh,
And
wow.
so, as an educator, which is a part of the reason why this book is certainly an awesome thing for me, is because I got the opportunity to combine some wonderful lessons that I learned from my kids, as well as putting them in the form of the lessons that are included in the character of Christ. And so, being an educator, you get to see so many different things with children and middle schoolers. And so, my life has revolved around education and specifically middle school kids. So that's who I am. hmm
Right. Wow. So you're telling me you're a teacher, Mary, and then what inspired you? Actually, it just popped up off my mind. I'm wondering what inspired you from educator. How did you transition into a author and decided to write this type of book?
Yeah, I appreciate that question, Mark. Actually, what initially inspired me, my kids, my students, right? The group of
Hmm.
students that were in my eighth grade class, I taught eighth grade science, so I'm a STEM girl, right? So
Uh-huh.
the time that this book was initially, the lessons, let me say it like that, were initially written was around 2005, 2006. And the group of kids that I taught at that time, they're grown. They're definitely grown, but they were in my eighth grade class at the time. And so,
Mm-hmm.
because this book is about the character of Christ, one of the things that I would do is to definitely, as their science teacher, think about the lessons that I wanted to teach them, but at this, and in terms of the science curriculum, but at the same time, because I am a Christian and my faith is
Right.
very strong,
Mm-hmm.
I also had the wonderful experience of being able to teach Bible study to eighth grade kids or middle school kids at my church. And so it was kind of like the best of both settings where I got the opportunity to be inspired by the students that I taught in public education in South Houston, Texas, and also teach different kids who were having some of the same behavioral issues or behavioral matters that I saw at school. And so I started writing down certain topics, and those topics became lessons that I really debuted at my church. And so I would often bring some of my students to church with me so that they could see, oh, Miss McCorvey, I remember, those kinds of things. But I really was inspired by the lessons of my eighth grade students that I taught at that time.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for that, Mary. Now,
Yeah.
I'm just wondering though, this is actually not the questions we have planned for this session. I just
It's
want to
okay.
know, why do you think it is necessary for the students, or especially the younger ones, to know this type of book or topic?
That is so awesome. Thank you for that question, Mark, because again, I'm going to refer back to the book. It's entitled Bible Study Lessons for the Generation Z. And of course, the students that we teach are going to be adults. They're going to be the
Hmm.
ones in charge of making laws. They're going to be our doctors. They're going to be the individuals that specifically people in my generation. I'm a
Our
Generation
future,
Xer,
right, right,
right? And so I think that the lessons that are included in this particular book, such as lessons on humility, lessons on
right,
servanthood, lessons on being obedient, lessons on having the mind of Christ and having a good attitude, those are things that we want our students to become. To embody when they become
right,
adults. And so
right,
I do think that if they go beyond Generation Z, we're two generations later now, almost two generations later. And so again, because the lessons are so universal, and still embodying the characteristics of who Jesus Christ is,
Right.
I think that these lessons can go far beyond just Generation Z, but they're super duper important because they're setting up our future lawmakers and our future consumers and all of the things that they are going to become. We want to leave the world better than how we found it, right? And so
Right. Right.
that these lessons are super duper important for them, because if we don't have the moral obligation, I'm sorry, as an educator, I have the moral obligation of educating my kids, and I always say that. And so this is one of the, and then as a Christian, it's a part of my faith and what I believe to go and make disciples. And so this is another way for me to make disciples because I'm teaching them the ways of Jesus Christ.
Wow. I'm speechless actually. You know, as what the song says, I believe the children's our future. I don't know if you know the
Absolutely.
song, but
Yes, I
Whitney
do.
Houston. Yeah, so yeah, I believe that it is important for us to teach or plant these seeds to our children for them,
Absolutely.
since they are actually the future of our world. And then it is really important because you know, the teachings, the attitude, the correct manners and characteristics of a person should
Yeah.
person should be. And I'm really happy that you are writing this one and providing and sharing this to
Yes.
the public actually, Mary.
Mhm.
And that is something I amazed about this book. Now,
Yes, thank you.
one more thing,
Mhm.
what are some of the defining elements included in this book, Mary?
Some of the defining elements included in this book. So, even though, and I want to go back to the tagline that you guys have, Reader's Magnet, in terms of helping authors to tell their stories to the world. And
Hmm.
so, a part of my burning passion is not just educating students, but educating the teachers who teach the students, right? A part of my job as an educator is I teach the teachers. So, because I've moved out of the classroom, but I still get to bless students by helping their teachers to become just better educators, right? And
Right, right,
so the
right.
book is all about how do I teach this to students? I think a defining element is the fact that this is really, Mark, to be honest with you, this is four books in one.
Oh wow, 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 wow.
And the reason why I can say that proudly is because it ranges from ages 3 all the way up to 18 with
Right.
one central theme, with one central theme, and that central theme is the mind of Christ. And so you have four different age groups, so 3 to 5, 6 to 9, 10 to 14, and 15 to 18. And so what I was able to do with the help of the Holy Spirit is to create lessons that were relatable to a 3 to 5 year old, still revolving around the same scripture, but there were different activities for each particular age group. So if I'm a youth volunteer, if I'm a youth pastor, if I'm an after school program person, and I'm looking for
Hmm.
something that has a little bit more depth, but here's the reality, everyone may not understand how to teach a third grader, right?
Right.
And so what I've tried to do, because my background is in education, one of the things that I tried to do is to couple it with understanding these are different strategies that you can use. These are things that you can think about as you create this particular lesson. The lessons are already created for anyone who decides to teach this book.
Mm.
And of course, I also included an opportunity for the teachers or the volunteers to scribe, how did this lesson go? Who do I need to keep in mind as I'm praying? What are some of the questions that I want to dive deeper into? Was there a student, was there a moment in the class that I need to go back and check up on? Because again, like I would tell my team, we
Hmm.
only see them one time a week, and for Bible study. And so it's just another way for teachers to be able to build relationships with their students after they leave the church or after they leave the after school program. So this is definitely a book that if I have a background in education, I can pick it up and use it, tweak it, do whatever I want to do it. But if I'm just a volunteer who may not be an educator, because that's a
Hmm.
lot of times in
Right.
churches, they might not have the background of teaching, right?
Teaching.
They may
Right.
not know the pedagogy and the different strategies. So this particular book will allow a novice volunteer, a well-trained teacher, or anyone in between to be able to pick up the book and say, I can teach this lesson because it includes specific elements that are there for me.
Wow. So I just love that this book is not specifically for this type of age bracket, and also is also teaching those who doesn't know how to teach. I mean, let's
Yes,
say is not that knowledgeable of teaching others, and this book is
right.
actually providing you lessons or guidance on how to,
Yes,
teach other people. I love that
right.
for this book,
Yes,
Mary. I
yes.
also heard also, Mary, that you are going to have a book signing this weekend. Can you please tell me more about that?
Yes, I am so excited. I'm going to be in Chicago this weekend. So I love
Wow.
visiting Chicago. One of my great friends is there. And so, yes, I will be there participating I believe the book signing is on Sunday for me. And I'm super duper excited to be there on Dearborn Street, meeting other authors at the same time and just talking about the character of Christ, and also seeing some of the other ideas that are out there from other up and coming authors, or anyone who just wants to take a look at the character of Christ. So I'm super excited about that. Yes.
All right, there you go, guys. So Mary is actually attending the Printers Row Lit Fest and will be
Yes.
at the Reader's Magnet booth, space C and D. And she will be
Yes.
having a book signing this Sunday. So if you
Yes.
want to know more about Mary and the book, you can visit our booth and then look for Mary and the book. It will be displayed on our booth. Again, that's
Yes.
space C and D. All right, thank you so much for sharing that, Mary. One question, Mary. What are your goals as an author moving forward?
My goals as an author, specifically with the character of Christ, is to continue to support educators or volunteers who do
Wow.
work in churches, because I am a trainer, right? I
Hmm.
train teachers and so, or volunteers. And so one of the things that I'm hoping to be able to do is to talk with other church leaders or youth center organizers to help them understand, if not with this book, other ways that they can support understanding the mind of adolescence, right? I
Hmm.
am
Right.
also working on my second book. I'm super duper and I'm proud of that, and I'm happy. So hopefully next year I'll be back on the road to talk a little bit more about the second book. So I definitely want to continue to write and continue to talk about this treasure that God has put inside of me.
Is it going to be a sequel of this book right now, Mary?
Not this one. This one is going to be more of a personal story that deals with
Hmm.
a life experience that I have had. But I'm super duper excited about being back and talking a little bit about it. But the sequel is coming. I have more stories to
Wow.
tell. So,
We are so excited for that, Mary. All right.
yes,
Thank you so much for sharing that, Mary. It has been very, a fruitful conversation. I believe that our viewers right now are really excited to meet you on
yes.
Sunday for the Reader's Minute book signing this Sunday on the Printers
Okay.
Roll Lit Fest. Now, last request.
Mhm.
Mary, please show your book on camera and invite everyone to buy a copy of this book.
Yes. So, again, this is the book. It's The Character of Christ. I want to make sure that I can put it in the Zoom. Can you guys see
Mm-hmm.
it? So
The
this is the
character.
Character of Christ Bible Study Series for the Generation Z. You are more than welcome, and it's also available in digital format as well as an ebook format too. One thing that I forgot to mention, Mark, is that there are links, there are engaging things that teachers can do online with some of the materials that are in here. So pick it up. It's available on All Things New 2019. You can go to the website and pick up a copy of it. And any questions that you want, I think I put my email address on here as well. You can feel free to email me and I'll email you back.
All right. Thank
So
you
get a
so much
copy.
for that, Mary. So,
Yes.
yes, everyone, this Mary D. McCorvey, the author of the book, The Character of Christ Bible Study Series, Lessons
Mhm.
for Generation Z.
See,
Again, the book is
yes.
available on Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, or you can visit her website that is www.allthingsnew2019.com. Again, Mary, I just want to thank you for attending our session today. As we always say here at Reader's Magnet, we share your story with the world. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Mark. Nice to speak with you today.
Thank you.